Hello, this is a quick question addressed to Americans about the plagiarism that seems to abound in the White House. Some of you will remember that Neil Kinnock made a speech in 1987 during which he said, "I'm the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to go to university." And that was a slight Welsh exaggeration because the 1,000 generations is something like 30 or 40,000 years, so, something like that. 30 or 40,000 years ago, people didn't even know how to plant grain, never mind go to college. So, that was picked up as being a little silly even at the time. But Joe Biden, he wasn't that bothered about silliness. And a few months later, when he was speaking as a presidential hopeful, he said something like, "I'm the first Biden in 1,000 generations." I mean, he could have changed that, couldn't he, if he'd have been thinking about it. "I'm the first Biden in 1,000 generations to go to college." And he actually ripped off the whole speech because Kinnock then said something like, "How come my wife Mary is the first of her family ever to go to university?" And Biden said, "How come my wife is the first ever to go to college?" I mean, he was just taken wholesale. He hadn't even thought about it. And that scuppered his presidential hopeful ambitions for the time being. He made it in the end, though. It just shows if you stick to things, even if you're a plagiarist, you finally get there. But now, I mean, of course, he can't remember enough to plagiarize anybody. So he's handed that torch on to Kamala Harris, because I was struck by the similarity between her phraseology and a slightly younger version of the Labour Party leader. Of course, she's slightly younger than Biden, so that's entirely appropriate, that she ripped off Tony Blair. In 1993, he made a speech in which he talked about the Labour Party's, I mean, it might have been even earlier than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right at the beginning, before the Labour Party had actually taken control of the country and started to dismantle it bit by bit, Tony Blair had he was great at the sound bites. He said, "We will be tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime." And I thought, and then I heard Kamala Harris talking about the migration crisis, and blow me down there. I heard her say, we're going to deal with migration and deal with the root causes of migration. It's exactly the same pattern. Now, there was I've forgotten his name. He wrote a book called Game Changer about Jeremy Corbyn. It was a book full of admiration for Jeremy Corbyn, who lost the election, but this was the first election he lost. But it showed how close he'd come and how great he was, and what marvelous things he did. I wish I could remember the name of the author, but the author did mention in the book a closeness between the Democrat Party and the Labour Party. He mentioned that his daughter was working for Hillary Clinton at the time when he was working for Jeremy Corbyn. So you can see there's a link there. And they just plagiarize each other. Well, look, as far as I can see, the Democrats are plagiarizing British Labour. So I just want you to know this, because as bad as you think the Democrats are now, I mean, the Labour Party has plenty more to plagiarise in the way of anti-Semitism and mad leftward ideology, even worse than you have in America. So it's not going to be long before some of that gets shunted over to your side of the Atlantic. You should watch out for that. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbow with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.